All righty. Are we back? Hello. Hello, everyone.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes. Can we get a confirmation in the chat this time that you guys are actually able to hear us? That'd be a great way to start this. I can hear you. Yes. Oh, there's an echo right now? Are you guys hearing an echo in the chat as well? You can hear us? Okay.
Any echo?
Is there an echo? That's what we're hearing some feedback about, an echo. Are we good? No echo? No?
Great.
Echo? Okay, perfect. Love it. Awesome stuff. Okay, welcome. Not hearing an echo. Okay, awesome. We got confirmation on that as well on our end. Okay, perfect. So, as we were saying, and you could not hear us previously, welcome to another Creator Hacks Live with myself, Tyler, and the lovely Paulina. And Happy New Year. It's it's been about 5-6 weeks since we've had one of these. We had it before the holiday break, so hopefully you all had a fantastic holiday season and kickstart to the new year. And what better way to start off 2025 than, getting a handle on all of your content and the chaos and clutter that can come with that when, things start to pile up. So I did see as well in the chat, it was awesome to see everyone tuning in. We had people from all over the states, some people from Ontario and all that. So awesome to see all of you guys here. We were just giving it, a minute to try to let people shift over to the new live stream here. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened exactly with the audio, but glad that it's back up and running now.
And big shout out to Kyle behind the scenes.
Yes.
Who is here guiding the show and helping us troubleshoot, because I would have not been able to figure it out. So
Yeah.
we're in good hands.
Yes. Perfect. Okay. So, generally with these, we kind of talk about, what we're going to be going through, talk about the benefits and all that sort of stuff. But I think the general consensus is that you guys like to just kind of, get right into the weeds and see how to do the thing, right? So we figured for this creator hack, we're going to switch up the format a little bit, and it's going to be more of just jumping right into, the how to, right? So it's going to be more of like a follow along walkthrough. So if you have some of your own content that you want to follow along with, you can. If you don't, it's no problem. This is going to be available on the YouTube channel afterwards. You can always come back to this and go through it, step by step with us at a later time. But we are going to be talking all about content management mastery and how to, clear the content clutter so that you can have more time, less stress, and make a bigger impact. Because, improving your workflows has a big impact on not only how well you're able to, make the most out of your content, but how your members, your clients, your customers, all of that are able to as well. So let's jump over to the slides quickly here, and we're just going to go over what today's agenda is. Again, it's myself, Tyler, and Paulina here, coming at this from two different perspectives. I'm coming from the marketing side and Paulina from customer success. So you get a bit of both worlds there. So here's the agenda for today. We're going to be diving into the library. Okay, so this is just where you're going to house all of your content under one roof and why that's beneficial. We're going to jump into media apps and how you can connect, third-party platforms and stuff and sync all of your content from there as well. And then we're going to dive into some more like organizational type stuff, things to really improve your workflows, improve the delivery of your content for members, all that sort of stuff. We're going to go a little bit more into detail about how to manage each of these files and what you can do with it once it's all under one roof in that library. And then we are going to talk about scaling your content management up, team accounts, AI chat plugins, all that fun stuff. So that is the agenda for today. And like I said, rather than, this long drawn out thing, we're just going to jump right into it, and we're going to start, diving right into the library and how you can get your content in there so that we can start, taking advantage of it. So with that, let's go to configuring your library, and we're going to jump over to Paulina here, and she's going to walk you through this process here.
Thanks, Tyler. I'm super excited about this topic. I think January is a great time when everyone's kind of cleaning the house after the holiday season to also do an inventory of all your content and look for ways to optimize your existing organization to make sure that you can continue tapping into a lot of value from both any future content that's coming out this year and then also for any existing content that you currently have. So we'll walk you through, as Tyler mentioned, through that agenda, all of the really important features that are available inside of every membership.io library. But before we dive into that, we need to cover something super important as it relates to configuring your library. We're going to walk you through some manual steps today that you can take to make the most of your library. But there's a lot of awesome things that membership.io does automatically that doesn't require any input from you specifically. So a lot of content creators that we work with, they have content on a lot of sources. Membership.io automatically brings in that content so that you don't have to sit there waiting for a replay to become available, to be able to download it, wait for it to download, upload it into a new platform, and then start doing all of the customization needs for that specific individual file times however many files you have specifically. So the creation and importing of content, the transcription, and writing the course assets or any other kind of the copy needs that you need with regards to specific files, those all happen automatically. So wanted to cover that first because we'll be covering some things in the call today that you can do manually to kind of kick it up a notch. But even if you just walk away today with a better understanding of different membership.io library features, even without you doing anything extra, all of these things are happening for you in the background without you needing to do any extra steps. That said, before we dive into content organization as well, what I would encourage everybody to do is to update your custom vocabulary. So part of those automated actions that happen for you is the importing of content. When your content is imported, it is automatically transcribed for you. That transcription is super important because it allows us to create closed captions for that content, which makes that piece of content super accessible for your members, but it also allows us to then make that content searchable. So that transcript becomes incredibly more powerful when proper terms are spelled properly. So in order to maximize transcription accuracy, you can head to the settings of your membership.io account and edit any specific custom terms that you use on a frequent basis inside of your account. A really great example, and I know she's watching this call, Carly's name is spelt in a unique way. So Carly's name is an example of something that she would add to her custom vocabulary. The system sometimes may not pick it up properly. So by adding the correct spelling of Carly's name to her custom vocabulary, she can ensure that anytime her name is mentioned in a call or a piece of content that she's uploading to her membership.io account, that it's spelled correctly. So we recommend adding any acronyms that are important to your business, any specific terms that you want to make sure have proper capitalization, along with any niche terms that are specific to your business. So you can head back to your settings at any time to update that list, but it's important that you complete the step first because it doesn't work retroactively. So that's why in all the amazing things we're highlighting in today's presentation, we're covering custom vocabulary first. Once you've customized your vocabulary list, it's time to head to the library page of your membership.io account. So this is one of the pages that are available in the menu. So in the next video, I'm going to walk you through how to access the library page from your dashboard. And really quickly, I'll cover a couple key features that we're going to be diving into deeper in today's presentation a little later on as well. So when you're inside of your account, what you're going to do is on the left-hand side menu, you'll see the option to click on the library. And inside this library, specifically on the top left-hand side, you'll see your folders. Folders are used to help you internally organize your content. You can create as many folders as you need to help you categorize that content in any way that makes sense to you. When you click on a folder, you'll be able to see exactly what files are in that folder as well. And depending on if you have specific media applications connected as well, you'll be able to see any files organized by that media source as well. We also have playlists, as you can see here. Playlists are used to help us curate content in a specific order for your members. You can upload content either manually or you can import that content. So you can see at the top here, we have a couple options with a little check mark. That means that I have connected those specific sources to this account. So any specific sources that you're currently using inside of your library, they'll show up at the top there. And then anything that you're not currently with, you can click see all apps and you'll be able to see all of the existing and additional media applications that you can connect with as well. So, why is all of this so important?
Yes. So, as Paulina mentioned, everything that you upload into your library membership.io, it's automatically transcribed, it's captioned, and it's made instantly searchable by keyword. So, what this means for you as a creator or business owner is, the AI tools or the automations within the platform, it can transcribe your content at 95% accuracy within minutes. So that saves you up to 70% of the time that you would spend, manually transcribing that. So if you were to, have a video that you wanted to repurpose on like a blog or something like that, it takes a lot of time to go through, listen to the video, type out what you hear, or, hire someone to do that. That can be really costly as well. And then not only that, like, that improves your experience with the content as the creator. But the benefit for your members and your users is that it makes it searchable as well. So within membership.io, you can search by keyword, so that, if you talk about some sort of specific um, concept or strategy or something like that, and people want to find that again, they don't have to go searching for some general topic and then dig through a bunch of videos to find it. They could type in, oh, what was that thing that Paulina talked about, a messaging map. They can type in messaging map and it would jump right to a time stamped moment within the video where you're talking about it. So it saves your members a ton of time as well. It can also save you a ton of time if you're trying to dig through your own content. But those are some of the really, really key benefits to getting your content inside of the library, and just allowing you to do more with it a lot quicker and easier. All right. So with that, let's move into how do you connect, third-party apps. If you have content that's on Zoom, that's on YouTube, that's in Google Drive, that's Dropbox, there's all these different places that we tend to house our content or post it. And so this is going to allow us to pull all of that from all the different places and get it all under one roof. So let's jump over to Paulina as well, and she's going to walk you through this process.
Awesome. So I think that's a really great summary, Tyler. And I think looking at some of those benefits as well, realistically, most people don't have the time to transcribe content and, bring out that kind of searchability using just themselves. So we're replacing a lot of tasks that are manual, but we're also enhancing our content with things that maybe we don't have the capacity to continue and be consistent with. And one of the things that we definitely recommend you do for that continuity and to be consistent with is connecting any media applications that membership.io currently has that you're currently using. This step saves you the need to upload and download content manually to bring it into membership.io. If you haven't noticed, we recommend using membership.io as your primary video and audio hosting tool because it gives you the added benefits of that transcription and captioning. And part of what I think empowers us to be able to make sure that all of the content is consistent with membership.io's 30 plus player settings is making sure that anything that we're hosting on Dropbox, Vimeo, Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, that it all ends up in membership.io specifically. So the primary benefit, as we've covered, is good for any existing content, But by making that connection once, we can also ensure that any future Zoom calls, any future podcast episodes, or YouTube videos that come in can automatically be added to your account. Now, if you have, let's say, the start or grow plan and you want to be mindful about how many hours you're uploading, there's also some options that are available to you to make sure that you are deciding which files to specifically import. So there's a lot of flexibility with this specific step to be able to give you control over. Maybe I don't want to import that Zoom call to have it count towards my upload limit. That's completely fine too. So in the next video, we'll give you a little example of where you can connect media applications and where you can show up, where they show up in your account specifically. So as you've noticed, we've been covering the library tab specifically, but the library and the apps tabs inside of your membership.io account do work together. There is quite a lot of similarities in terms of what specifically they both cover, as both of them have to do with your content specifically. So let's take a look at how you can access your existing apps and how you can connect a new application to your library specifically. So from your library, you have a couple ways to kind of get to the apps. Number one, you'll see an overview of any applications you've currently connected. And when you click See All Apps, it'll take you to the Apps tab of your account that you can also access just through the dashboard and resource bar here. And on this page, as you can see, you can explore all the apps that we currently have connections with. So this means that membership.io and those specific platforms are talking directly to each other. This kind of functionality goes one way specifically. So as you can see here, I have the ability to add my Zoom account to membership.io, not vice versa. So by adding your account, you can see that we have a couple here connected. Any content that is coming in through that source, you'll be able to access through your library in a folder that has the little icon that's connected to that source. So you can see that my Zoom folder has that little Zoom icon next to it. Same with the one underneath. It's YouTube specific. It has the YouTube icon. And any file that has that import button on top, it means it has yet to be imported. We want to make sure that we give you the flexibility to be able to decide what specific files you do import if you do want to be mindful of your upload limit. So again, you can make that connection so that you have ease of access to the content from that source, but you can choose between manually selecting which files you want to import, or on the flip side, you can say, you know what, every single piece of content from YouTube, I'm repurposing inside of my membership. So let's make sure it's automatically connected. So with that, we'll pass it back over to Tyler to walk us through why specifically those media apps are so important.
Absolutely. So if you think about this, like there's so many benefits of just, not only being able to import all of your content from all the different platforms to, be able to have one sort of central location to keep everything organized in one place. Again, you get those benefits of having things transcribed, having them captioned, having them instantly searchable. So it makes it way easier for repurposing content. But it also makes it really easy for, working with a team or something like that. Like, you're able to have all of your content in one place. And as Paulina mentioned, once you set this up, so say, you sync your YouTube channel, you can have it set it automatically syncs your new content that you upload to your channel. So you don't have to, every time you upload a new YouTube video, go download it, upload it to your, your Drive or your Dropbox or whatever, then share that out with your team and then, figure out how to repurpose it, transcribe the stuff, So if we break down kind of the average time it would take per, content piece, even if that's like a 5 or 10-minute video, you've got to back up the content, right? So you've got to download that from wherever you have it hosted, whether that's like a Zoom call or that's YouTube or Instagram or wherever. So you've got to download it. Then you have to, again, upload it to the cloud. That's another, 5-10 minutes. And then you've got to figure out, where you're going to organize it, how you're going to send it off to, your team or your editor, or what you're going to do to repurpose the content. So, all in all, let's say on average, that's 15 to 25 or 30 minutes per video. So if you're putting out a lot of videos on a consistent basis, like this can really, really add up. And even just posting or, doing this process manually for a video a day, that's a few hours every single week that you could be spent actually, building and growing your business and that sort of thing rather than doing these manual processes. So this just again, it really helps speed things up for you. It makes it easier. It makes it a lot simpler for collaborating with others as well. And then you also have the added benefits of, you don't forget to do it and have outdated backups, right? Like sometimes it can be such a hassle doing all this stuff manually that you kind of like put it off and you try to like batch it later. But then, things get busy and life happens. And then before you know it, you're 2 months behind on having, your content updated and wherever your central library is. So by having that connection to just automatically keep things synced, and then again, having the flexibility to import what you want or don't want, or to just be able to import it all in one click. To me, it's a no-brainer, but again, I'm a little bit biased, right? But I think there's tremendous benefit and value in having that sort of central location, having all your stuff under one roof. And then once it's in there, we're going to move into next what you can do with it once it's in there. And I believe the next part here, we're going to be talking about how to organize your content and really just make the most of it, sort through things, and put it together in a way that makes sense for you, that makes it easier for yourself in terms of your workflows, but then again also makes it easier for your members, your customers, your clients to navigate as well. So we are going to kick it back to the lovely Paulina once again, and she's going to go through folders, playlists, and tags, and how these can help with your content organization and clearing up the clutter or chaos that your content might currently be.
No chaos allowed. Um, in all honesty, though, like I love geeking out about this stuff specifically because we get a ton of questions all the time in terms of what the difference is between a folder and a playlist. So I'm just excited that we have some time today to talk about this. I think, in terms of what Tyler was saying, in terms of repurposing this content, think about the value of this webinar alone. Most of our replays, I think, are 4 times at least how many people we have on the live webinar itself. So we always think about our webinars just in terms of how we can make sure that we cover content that people are, often asking about, to make sure that we can repurpose that content. So as Tyler was saying, any opportunity that you have to repurpose that content, definitely take it, because if you can prevent your content from going stale, then it will ensure that your members can continue getting access from it. So with that, let's take a look at the definitions between a folder, a playlist, and a content tag. All of these have something to do with one another because they're all technically used for content organization. It allows you more flexibility when it comes to getting really granular in terms of how you're sorting content. In many ways, too, content can fit into multiple buckets or categories. So we use content tags in order to extend that flexibility where one file can fit under, 3 specific topics. So let's take a look at specifically what these 3 things can be defined as, and then we'll take a look at a video of where they appear in the library specifically. So a folder, which appears on the top left-hand side of your library, as we saw, folders are used internally to help you group similar content together. So inside of our membership.io kind of team accounts, we hold all of our free webinars together. It makes sense because that's kind of one deliverable. We wouldn't have one folder per file because there are multiple free training videos that we stack together. So folders, again, are generally assigned, not generally, they're always assigned as one folder per file. So that means that each piece of content that's appearing inside of your account is only going in one folder. This actually makes it a lot easier for you to find that specific content if you're grouping it with similar type of content. Folders and playlists are a little bit different in that, whereas you can have one file per folder, that file can be in multiple playlists. So playlists are used to help you curate content based on how you want your audience to see. A good example of this is we don't really care about date ordering inside of folders because it's all internal, right? We're just grouping everything that is a free webinar inside of the same folder. Whereas with playlists, it makes more sense that we want your audience to see the most recent, webinar that you released. So playlists allow you to custom drag and drop specific files in a specific order to make sure that that's how your audience can see it. Another great example of how you would use a playlist is a course module. If you have a traditional course module that follows the format of lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you want to make sure that your audience is consuming it in the correct order, what you would do is you would drag and drop the files in that playlist for that specific module to make sure that they're showing up in order specifically. So again, just to recap, with folders specifically, one file in one folder. Sorry. Each file can only go into one folder. You can have multiple files in the same folder. There's a lot of instances where that will make sense. But a single file is only going to go in one folder, whereas that single file can go in multiple playlists. Let me know in the chat if that's confusing. I know Carly's here as well, so I'm sure Carly wouldn't mind helping just clarify that specific wording as well. We also have content tags, which can also help with that kind of granular content organization. And they're used to help us, as the name indicates, tag specific content based on specific categories it falls under. Content tags are super useful because we can also automate playlists using content tags in addition to folders. So an example of this would be maybe this specific replay, once it's available, we would tag as library and apps because those are the two primary features that we talk about on this call specifically. I can then automate a playlist that has all of our content specific to the library tab and a second playlist all about the apps page specifically. So content tags are often used for specific topics that your file can fit under. And in many, many instances, you would add multiple tags to one file because a file can be relevant to topic 1 through 5. So between content tags, folders, and playlists, you have quite a lot of opportunities when it comes to how to organize your content. And if that feels a little bit overwhelming, I would just encourage you to think about your own use case, your own business need for what makes the most amount of sense for your content and set it up that way. You're not committing, for the future indefinitely for all of your content to be sorted that way. We often do a little bit of a spring cleaning inside of our accounts as well, just to make sure that once a year we're revisiting that content. And it's happened a few times that we've spring cleaned too far as well. So having those content tags files having the content tags, the folders, and the playlists are all super useful to be able to just give you a lot more flexibility in terms of discovering your own content as well. So in the next quick video, we'll just take a look at where these three things present, how you can create a new folder, how you can create a new playlist, and how you can create a new content tag. So inside of your library, at the top here, we have all of our existing folders, and the button to create one is just on the side here. So you can give your folder whatever name makes sense. You can also rename your folders in the future, no worries there. And once you're happy with that name, click Create Folder, and you'll automatically be taken there. Now, as you can see here, I just created that folder. It's empty. So I'm going to go through some of my recent content to see what content I can add to that specific folder. You can scroll through your list, and when you find specific files that you do want to add to that specific folder, you can use our handy bulk action tool where you can just click on a file to select it. And then once you're happy with that selection, you can move those files to your new folder. Be sure to hit confirm to make sure that content is actually moved over. Next, we have playlists. So playlists allow you to curate content in a specific order. I can create one called coaching calls, which gives me the option to then add any specific content that I'm uploading from my library or that I'm recording for specific clients into that specific playlist. I can also automate it. So if I want to set it up so that any existing and Zoom calls from a specific folder are automatically coming to this playlist, I can also set it up that way. What this means is that using that Zoom integration, I can just essentially set it and forget it. Where by connecting that folder once to this specific playlist, anytime there's a new file that matches either of those conditions, it means it will automatically get added to that playlist. So that's super powerful because it means that, again, we're able to set up that integration, set up that automation, and it can also automatically work. Now, when it comes to content tags, you'll use the same process as the folders where you'll select them, you'll click edit, and then you'll see the option to add a content tag. On this next step, you'll be able to type in a new content tag, or you can choose an existing one as well. When you hit confirm, that will add that specific tag to those files. So what I really like about these features is that you can kind of hit multiple files at the same time. So you can kind of go through your entire list of content to say, you know what, these 6 files all have to do with this topic. So I'm going to give them that specific content tag. So let us know in the chat if that's making sense. And we'll pass it back over to Tyler to walk us through why those aspects are so important as well.
Absolutely. So, just a couple interesting stats that I kind of came across. One from Adobe here that says businesses using automation for content management report saving an average of 20 hours per month. So that's pretty substantial when, and that's compared to manual workflows. So just by having these sort of automated processes to help with managing content, you're able to save an extra half of a work week essentially every single month, or a full work week, 40 hours every other month, which is pretty crazy. And then another stat that I came across from Nucleus research here, which was even more shocking to me, is that for every $1, again, these are averages, right? But for every $1 spent on streamlining workflows, businesses on average see a return of $5.10 in productivity. So you're getting, a 5-to-1 ROI on your investment by simply, improving how you manage and utilize your content. And, any way that you can streamline the processes for yourself, for your business, for your team, that increase in productivity is, going to allow you to accomplish more faster and essentially be able to produce greater results in less time, resulting in less, spent cost paying for, those man hours, all the manually, doing all of those actions. And so, yeah, these were just some really interesting stats that I found about just simply improving your workflows, right? It's not something that you typically think would have like a major impact on your business. Sure, it might, keep you from pulling your hair out a little bit more. But it's really nice to see something like this that kind of, makes it real essentially, right? Like you can see the real impact that it can have just by doing something simple as, improving your workflows, automating some of the tasks that you don't have to manually do, and just taking advantage of, the advancements that technology is making possible now versus, 10, 20 years ago, right? So that is some of these stats. And now that we've kind of talked about how to organize all of your files and things like that, and just kind of sort things and get your workflow figured out, now we're going to jump into the weeds a little bit more with the file manager. And this is going to be, what you can actually do with each of those files now that it's inside of membership.io in your library. There's some pretty cool things that you can do with your files now that they're in there. So let's kick it back to Paulina here, and let's talk about what you can do with your files in the library.
Love it. So there's quite a lot of things that you can get done with the file manager specifically. So just as a little definition, the file manager as it kind of indicates in the name, is the menu where you can customize one specific file. So we've shown you how to group specific files together, whether it's based on the media application, a specific topic, a specific deliverable in your business. But when it comes to things like the thumbnail, the transcription, the description or attachments for a specific piece of content, that's where the file manager comes in specifically. So there's quite a lot of things that can happen inside of the file manager. We'll give you a brief overview into some of the things that you can find inside of that menu. And I'm going to click on a random file in this specific library, but the file manager is attached to every single video or audio file that you have inside of your account. If you've uploaded a document or a PDF, you won't find some of those, I guess, menu options, because it just doesn't make sense to have, a transcript of a PDF document. So if you're looking to jump into the file manager, just one kind of tip there to make sure that you're opening a video or audio file specifically. So let's look at a quick video of some of the options that you can find inside of the file manager. So again, click on a specific folder of a file that you want to edit and just click directly on that file to get the slide in file manager menu. Right next to the file name, you'll see the option to trim that file, to edit the transcript, to share that file directly with your members, and also to move it to a different folder, to add it to a playlist, to download different elements of that file, whether it's the video, the audio, or the transcript that you're specifically after, and also to delete it. You'll see the option to edit the description as needed. You can override the AI version of the description that's automatically generated for you through Copilot specifically. And then as we scroll down, you can see there's tons of different options relating to the thumbnail, so the specific image that's on top of this. We have the ability to add chapters as well, which are super useful for helping to break down a really long piece of content to make it more digestible. So you can see that this webinar that Tyler and I also did together is about an hour long. We have cards as well, which are really great for call to actions. You have the ability to add attachments, to add content tags that we've already learned about, to control the privacy, and also to play with Copilot. So Copilot is what we've been referring to in terms of the AI-assisted copywriting using context for a specific file. So it's a super useful kind of chat GPT on a file level that you can use just to help streamline some of the workflows, which we just heard about in terms of why they're important. So as you can see here, in a couple minutes, I was able to really skim through a couple of these options, but I recommend heading to your library, opening up one file, and just discovering all the different options that are available there. You can have, a play date with that transcript editor itself, just to kind of review the existing transcript and make any changes needed there. But all of that magic happens in the file manager specifically. And again, really important note to make sure that you're opening a video or audio file, as if you do have PDF content, some of those options naturally will not be there specifically.
Just one quick note there, as Paulina was mentioning, with the transcript, essentially. So if we come back to here, it could be a good idea to, essentially test it out first. So if you have a piece of content and you want to see, the accuracy essentially of the transcript, you could upload a particular piece of content. And then as Paulina mentioned, you have that option to set custom vocabulary, words and phrases, things like that. So if you upload one item and you find that there's certain things that you'd want to add to your custom vocabulary, that maybe it misspelled or something like that, then that gives you the option to add those, and then you can re-upload whatever content piece, or then you can dump in all of your content, make all the connections, and import it. You just want to make sure that you're getting some of those custom vocabulary things right ahead of time, so that when it transcribes everything and goes through that process, it does it right the first time, instead of you putting in all the content and then having to go through and change, one word on 20 different files, right? So that was just a note that I wanted to mention there. And now we're going to jump to an exciting new feature that Paulina kind of, she kind of like just skip past it without, saying a whole lot about it. But yes, we have a new feature with the file manager, and this is the trim feature. So with this, specifically, you could trim the beginning or the end of your content. One of the best use cases of this that comes to mind is something like what we're doing right now. We had a little bit of preamble at the beginning. If we were able to get the audio issues sorted on the first live call and didn't have to fully restart it, we could have trimmed off that beginning part where we were kind of, tinkering with things. Obviously with this, it's a new live, so it's a new recording, so we don't have that issue, but we're still doing some introductions and things at the beginning. So we can trim off that part. And then, if you're wanting to keep like a Q&A or something like that as like exclusive, you could trim that off of the end of the content as well. Or, any sort of like Zoom coaching calls, things like that. Usually they start out with some like introductions, niceties, whatever. So this allows you to just kind of clean things up and give a really polished, final recording or, video file within your library. So let's jump right into it. Paulina, do you want to walk us through how they get to this? Essentially, you see it on the screen, right? You just click the trim button on that file manager. And then again, you can just drag on the timeline and that will clip out, if you want to cut out that intro part. There we go. So it's right at the start of the presentation. You can kind of line it up, and adjust as you need to there. And then again, at the end, there's a little bit of signing off, saying goodbye, all of that sort of stuff. If you wanted to trim that off, you could, and then you hit save as a new file. And then again, you can title this as well if you wanted to. I believe it uploads as a new file within the library, correct?
Yes. However, we did also push an update yesterday, actually, where you have the option to trim a file and save it as a new file, which, as Tyler was mentioning, sometimes when you have like a live webinar, what you'll do is you'll make sure that the Q&A is like a stay on bonus for anyone stayed on for anyone who stayed on until the end. But maybe you want to trim it out of the replay just to kind of preserve that kind of bonus structure. So what you could do is trim out the Q&A and save that as a new file. Or also, as of yesterday, you can also save that trimmed version of the file as that same file. So instead of creating a duplicate, just replace the file with that specific trimmed version, which I know a lot of people have been asking for since we released it. So we're really excited because this has been something that people have been asking for a very long time, back from before we were even membership.io and we were a little company called Searchy. I don't know why I had Shiloh here, but he had to make a little cameo today. Anyways, a lot of benefits to being able to do that. And I think this is really in line with our passion for helping identify opportunities for you to streamline those workflows, of which we know that trimming your content and getting rid of, any technical hiccups that you may have at the beginning out of that call specifically. So a lot of really, useful things that can kind of come out of that. And just to kind of wrap it up before we talk about the different ways that you can scale some of these to kind of take those streamlining workflows to the next level, wanted to also drop some of my tips as well. So our team handles a ton of migrations for clients that have a need for hundreds of folders, sometimes 2,000 plus files. So we deal with a lot of large scale migrations, and here are the tips and tricks that we give to clients of all different levels of business. So I've mentioned this at the beginning and I'll mention it again because we can't talk enough about custom vocabulary, but make sure that you're updating your custom vocabulary before doing a mass import. Those custom terms do not apply retroactively, so it is really important that you're updating that before completing a mass import of any content. Tip number 2, go easy on the folder count. Because we have content tags that allow for more granular organization, My recommendation is always to limit the folder count where possible because you do have a search bar in the library as well. So, anytime where you're looking for an individual piece of content, instead of scrolling through a ton of folders or looking through content text, just search for that file name or a term that you know appears exclusively in that transcript, and you'll be able to pull up the file that way. Number three, we touched this on this as well, but automate your playlist where possible. If you are using a folder for Q&A replays for your membership and you have a playlist of the Q&A replays in your membership, guess what? Those are basically equal. So what you want to do is connect that folder to that playlist in the automation menu to be able to make sure that any new Q&As that come into your library are automatically added to the right playlist. This gives you the power and flexibility to be able to control that content managed directly from your library without even having to go into that membership hub specifically. So as you can see, we were able to take care of a lot of specific content management tasks without even having to open that hub editor today. Tip number four, use a consistent naming convention. You may have peeped in my video a few slides back that we number our folders to kind of make it easier for us to kind of track where things are at. Whether you're naming things, numbering them, keep it consistent. It makes it easier for anyone else that's working with you to be able to find what they need as well. I also find it really handy to keep an archive folder of anything that maybe you're not reaching for on an ongoing basis. As we've mentioned today, there's a lot of benefits to repurposing content, but maybe there is some content that is slightly out of date or that you have changed your mind about, you know, since you've started filming it. Not a bad idea to keep it in an archive folder so that you can still keep it in your library without needing to actually put it to a folder that you're using on a regular basis. And last but not least, if you are using a hub to deliver content, use hub playlists where possible instead of library playlists, as library playlists are designed for things like coaching calls, as we saw, as all of us saw today on the call today. But if you do have specific content that you're delivering through your hub, it's going to be a lot more secure in terms of those playlists to be able to create it at the hub level and share it inside the hub instead of sharing a playlist for a product that you're actively collecting payments for from the library itself. So with that, we covered all of the kind of basics and foundations in terms of content management. But if you completed all of that and none of this was new to you, there's still a couple things that you're going to want to do if you're looking to up level your content processes specifically. Tyler, do you want to cover the first one?
For sure. So, another new feature here is teams. So we have added team accounts. You can create, yes, love it, love it. So you can add team members to your account now. This was, again, just like the trimming, this has been a very highly requested feature. And it just makes it so much easier to be able to work with others, to collaborate with others, to be able to, build out your hub, to be able to, help with delivery of your content in if you're running a membership, for example, or if you're just wanting to have the ability to have others inside of your account without handing them the keys to your business and saying, here's my one password, please don't ruin my business. This gives you the opportunity to provide, sort of like moderation level controls and things like that so that you can get the assistance without exposing, things like your financial details and things like that that you might want to keep private and protected, right? So this is a huge, huge improvement for, being able to scale up and to just grow with your business and to be able to whether that's working with VAs, whether it's working with co-owners of the business, whatever it might be, this just allows you to scale so much easier and safer, essentially, right? And so this is a super, super exciting improvement to the platform, and I hope all of you guys are as excited about it as I am. Paulina, is there anything you wanted to add in regards to the team accounts?
Yes, other than the fact that I'm super excited, I would also add that the number of accounts that you can create depends on your plan. So just double
Yes.
check what specific plan you're on in terms of how many team accounts that you can create. If you do have the option, just head to the settings of your account and you'll be able to see the option to add a new team member. So, this is one way to kind of scale up your content management processes. We have another way that you can do that as well. So even if you're not using a hub for sharing your content, what you can do is to create a AI chat plugin for your content specifically. So this used to be called Wisdom. I think in a couple places in the app, it's still called Wisdom. I think we're looking to kind of rebrand it slightly to AI chat plugin. They mean the exact same thing. It's your opportunity to create a custom GPT using your content specifically. It's not trained on anybody else's content. And it's a really useful way to give your members on demand support for any specific questions that you may have. So, if you've already kind of optimized your library, sorted your content into folders, setting up a plugin is literally going to take 2 minutes. So, if you don't have one created, I highly recommend heading to the apps tab of your account, which everybody should know how to find now, and creating your own app. Not app, but AI chat plugin. So, I think that's almost it for us today. It looks like Tyler has another awesome slide about just the
Yeah, just
value of this as well.
Yeah, exactly. And just to, sort of reiterate what Paulina was saying there, we talked about AI Copilot earlier, right? Which is kind of like your personal assistant on the back end, and that's on a file, like an individual file level. So if you're wanting to, repurpose it, pull a key takeaway or a quote or something like that, that's a great way to use that on a file level. Whereas the AI chat plugin, or Wisdom, as it's been referred to, that allows you to basically provide summarized responses from all the content that you essentially give access to for that chatbot. And you can have multiple chatbots as well. You can use it as a lead magnet. There's many things that you can do, and perhaps that's a topic for a future creator hack here. But essentially, what that will allow you to do is, if someone has a question, again, let's take it back to that like messaging map topic that we talked about earlier. So if someone has a question about that, they can say like, I know there was something about that. Like, what is a messaging map? What is it useful for? What that AI chat is able to do is look through your 174 different videos and find all the parts where you talk about that specific topic, so that messaging map, and then create a summarized response using your voice, your language, your wording, and then also providing time-stamped references to the pieces of content that it's compiling that answer from. So it's an incredible way to basically clone yourself, provide a personalized response to your audience, to your members, your clients, customers, without having to spend all of that additional time. And then this is just a little stat from the web here that stated that 55% of people, so the majority of people, would prefer to use a chatbot for some sort of support if it's able to answer their question, rather than waiting for a live agent. And then in additional to that, there's kind of like a benefit to you yourself again, and to your audience. So one thing here from Adam Cano is, chatbots can actually handle up to 79% of routine inquiries. So if you think about, all the typical questions you get asked, a lot of them are pretty basic, pretty standard. And AI and chatbots and stuff can kind of take care of answering those, and providing a reasonable response to your customer, to your member. And the way that this AI chat goes one step further than, a traditional chatbot that's generally just an FAQ, in the form of a chatbot, this is actually able to, go through your content that you give it, permission to access, and summarize a response in your own language. So they're actually getting a response that's pulled and, compiled specifically from your content in your voice and that. So it's a lot more of an advanced response than you would typically see in a chatbot. And then again, this is just talking about member engagement. So what does this do for your members? How does this help them? Um, AI powered summarization tools, so similar to what we're talking about here, can improve long-term content retention by up to 35% as they reinforce key points. That was from IBM. And if you just think about it logically, if you have a question about something, you want to review something, would you rather type into a chatbot, get a summarized response with references of where it's pulling that answer from to be able to, dive into those more if you want to, but 90% of the time, it's just going to give you a summarized response. It's like, cool, that's exactly what I was looking for. Awesome. Or would you rather say, I knew there's something about messaging maps. Let me go back to module 6. I'll try to skim through the 17 videos in there. I think it was video 7, maybe 8. So I'll just go back and watch those 10-minute videos. That's like 20 minutes. And then I'll try to write down notes about what they're talking about, right? Like it's just a much quicker and more convenient and more enjoyable experience for your member. Having that option to just utilize an AI chat that can summarize it for you in a click of a button. All right. So, and with that, we got off to a little bit of a rocky start with the technical issues and stuff like that. Typically we would have a Q&A session here, but I know Carly's been doing a great job in the chat, and we've been trying to jump in there and answer some of your questions throughout this presentation. So if you do still have any questions that, might not have been clear here, again, the replay is going to be available here on the YouTube channel, so you can always come back and rewatch it. And if there's something specific that you want to reach out to us about, just email us at help@membership.io, and our team will be happy to help answer your questions and clarify, any questions that might have come up throughout this presentation. But that was everything about mastering your content management. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you again to Paulina for being here and rocking.
Thank you to Kyle.
demos.
Thank you to April.
Yes,
Thank you
Kyle,
to
to everyone that helped pull this together, sort out the tech difficulties. And we will be back again in February. Again, we do this, the third week of every month. So you can expect another creator hacks in about a month from now. And if you have any insight or things that you might want it to be about, feel free to post in our membership.io community, the Facebook, any of that sort of stuff. So again, thank you so much, and we will see you again very soon for another creator hack.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
See you later.
It was good.